Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, also sitting as all special taxing districts. Board members will attend either in person, by telephone, or remotely via electronic conferencing. And today we'd like to excuse Chairman Porteous and Supervisor Reyes, who are attending a NACO conference, which is the Association of Conferences. I'll call this meeting to order and invite Supervisor Simmons to lead this in the pledge. We're going to open up the call to the public, but before we do that, just to address one of the things, since I see that we have 2 or 3 people that would like to discuss biosolids. In the last 5 years, Yuma County Board of Supervisors has been working with the state government to shut down the dumping of biosolids into Yuma County. The chairman and I, as well as this whole Board of Supervisors, sent a letter to the State Land Department and to ADQ asking them to cease operations. There are some challenges with state government. We've run some legislation to curtail some of those activities as well. The chairman and I met with the director of Arizona Department of Environmental Quality last week, as well as our State Land Department, insisting that they seek alternative dumping for that. We've also asked our cities in Yuma County who utilize those facilities to seek alternate dumping as well, because they process a lot of their biosolids there. With that, I will call our first speaker, Rodney Williams.
Mr. Vice Chairman, was this issue public noticed?
No, but because we have so many people, and I understand your concern, so thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. I'm Rodney Williams. I reside at 11579 East Via Salida in the foothills. I've been in this county a resident for over 20 years. I've been in business in both Imperial County and California since 1973. I've been in the agricultural industry. I've been in the renewable energy industry. I currently own a partner and I own both biomass plants that are in Imperial County that are idled. I've had significant experience in my lifetime on groundwater development. I was the person that served on the Imperial County Water Development Plan representing the groundwater in Imperial County. As most of you probably don't know, we are sitting on top of the aquifer that extends from the Salton Sea to 25 miles southeast of San Luis, Mexico. It's one enormously big aquifer. It's called the Lawrence Livermore Labs did studies in 2008 that are available online. It has over 4 billion acre feet of water. They claim that between 1.5 and 2 billion acre feet are recoverable at today's metrics as far as financially. Some of it's not the best quality. I've done significant research on it because I had my own water drilling rig for a number of years, and I've developed a lot of agricultural ground. I've actually farmed a lot here in Imperial County out around Tacna. I've probably pumped more groundwater than anybody that's in this county. I've also had the lease on the Brock Ranch farm over in Imperial County out in the East Mesa. So I have significant experience is what I'm trying to share with you with groundwater. At the time I moved here, I lived on Julie Lane. My daughter, Kathy Wire, was a nurse practitioner here in town for about 10 years. She and I had a home there, and we took water samples every 6 months for a number of years. I'm a very good associate friend of Dr. Neil Williams, I was trying to get the city of San Diego over 10 years ago to help financially renovate. We own, my partner and I own the only 2 gasification units in Southern California that could handle biosolids. So I'm very familiar with this. I've seen this since back years ago when they actually injected the biosolids and did it correctly. This is not being done anywhere near according to EPA guidelines, the disposal. The atmosphere is not your #1 problem. The water, groundwater is the key problem. It will become eventually, if anyone, I started to contact the county years ago about this, but I had is that my limit?
It is, but go ahead.
Okay, I had a conflict.
One more minute. I'm sorry, just one more minute. Yeah.
I had a conflict because at that time I had several thousand acres of state lease ground, and I did not want to have a problem with the state, okay? But at this time, I'm semi-retired. I am still trying to create the business structure in Imperial County to treat this. You know, it's not just the biosolids. What most people don't realize is that there's the worst hazmat that comes out of the hazmat material that comes out of the ground on the development in and around the Salton Sea on geothermal. There's several trucks a day or a week that come over here with hazardous materials, and there's every element in the periodic chart in that material. You know, this is something that I hate for you folks to have to deal with it. It's something that the federal government should have dealt with years ago, but all I can say is you follow the money. When I was trying to get the contract to help dispose of it properly, where we could build it's a $150 million project to treat this. And that will only treat the material coming from San Diego. And you know, there's 135,000 ton a year that come out of there. And nobody looks at all the underlying problems in the number of trucks that come across I-8, down I-111, enormous amounts of, quote, pollution from those trucks that should be stopped in California. All I can say is at this time, I'm more than happy to consult with anyone. I do have a system and I know how to handle this material and I know what it takes. I've studied it for years. I have people around me that can help me, and I'm here at your convenience. Don't expect anything out of it. I'm 72 years old. I'd like to leave a better situation for our children and grandchildren.
Rodney, we appreciate your comments today, and we want you to know that this board continues to be a thorn in the side for State Land Department and ADEQ, insisting that they seek alternate measures of dumping, not within our county, and we're going to continue to push for it. We're also concerned about some of the chemicals and the ability to sustain on the lands that we live in. So we appreciate your expertise, and I'll refer you to Ian. Okay. We can put something together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here today.
Bye.
Mr. Adams, Carlos Adams.
Mr. Vice Chairman, just a reminder about the public notice matter.
Yes, thank you. I stand corrected again.
Oh, sorry. Hello, good morning, supervisors. No, I'm not. Here we go. So I'm here regarding concerns tied to the county landfill and its and its impact on surrounding communities. Residents have reported an increase in flies and concerns tied to waste exposure. This raises public health and environmental questions.
I'm sorry, can you state your name and your address, please?
Carlos Adams, 1410 East Palo Verde Street.
Thanks.
I would like to direct my questions to the board. the county administrator, and the relevant departments, including Public Works and Environmental Health. First, has the county conducted any recent public health assessments, environmental exposure studies, or air and water quality testing related to the landfill operations? If so, when were those completed, and will those reports be made public? Second, I am requesting transparency regarding the land use agreements governing that landfill site. What terms, what restrictions, and what operational conditions are currently in place for use as a waste facility? And third, I would like any clarification from Development Services or Planning and Zoning. Are there any current or pending discussions involving land related to future development, including large-scale projects or potential annexation into the city of Yuma? If so, what stage are those discussions in? I am formally requesting that any existing reports, agreements, or planning-related documents tied to these matters be made available to the public. I will also be following up with formal public records requests to ensure transparency on these issues. But the main thing here is, if there's any land that's supposed to be annexed to the city of Yuma for any major projects, I would like that transparency to be made public. That's my biggest thing here. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Mr. Woodman.
Good morning, Board. My name is Tyler Woodman. I live at 4200 East County 12th. I'm going to be reading this because I have ADD and I can't stay focused. Good morning. You guys were elected to represent me and the rest of the citizens of Yuma County. You are our voice with the state of Arizona. I am here today to follow up on your December 1st letter regarding the AgTech lease. In that letter, you outlined serious impacts to our community, and you formally asked the state to terminate that lease. Thank you for that, by the way. You are going to be on the right side of history. It has now been 6 months. I came 1 month ago and asked if there had been any response and whether this board planned to follow up. So I will ask again today, has there been a response from the state commissioner, or did she just ignore it? And if not, what are we going to do next? Because everything you outlined in that letter is still happening, and there's more that is probably happening. Nothing has changed. If anything, it's getting worse. I passed about 7 Western Transport trucks on my way from 3E to Gist Parkway. We don't want to assume that nothing is being done, but without communication, that's exactly what it looks like. This is an issue you've already identified as impacting this community. It deserves transparency and action. I am also formally requesting that the data and information you use to support the conclusions in your December 1st letter be made available to the public. I have requested all of ADEQ's records concerning AgTech, Thule Ranch, Western Transport, and the rest of their umbrella of companies, and I am awaiting those. We deserve to see what you guys see. I also have a hard time believing that Vector Control found 0 fly larvae when they released that statement on the AgTech leases, as there is a whole bunch of produce dumping down there as well. I'm requesting that Vector Control makes public how they did the testing, how many test sites, did they have a grid, where, when did they do it, etc. We cannot tout ourselves as being the fresh produce capital of the country in the wintertime, and also the waste disposal capital of Southern California. We cannot pollute the aquifers. There is way too much at stake. 6 months, to me, is just way too long to wait for something that has this much weight. And I will be here in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay. Alexis, are you there? We'll go to discussion item number 1.
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. We'll turn the time over to you. We have Alexis Susdorf, representing Alejandro today, who is our legislative liaison, to give us an update on state and federal updates.
Perfect. Let me just get my presentation pulled up. Are you all able to see that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, I guess acting chair line, supervisors, staff and guests, as mentioned, and for the record, my name is Alexis Sestorf. I own my firm State 48 Public Affairs, and I have the pleasure of filling in for Alejandro today. I work very closely with him on your behalf at the Capitol, on all of our legislative efforts, as well as the latest and greatest what's going on with our state budget. So I'm going to jump in again, trying to fill big shoes. Alejandro does a great job. So sorry if I repeat some things he may have shared, but I just want to give you guys kind of the lay of the land of what's going on up to this date since our legislature kicked off, and then what we are looking at over the next hopefully couple of weeks, but could be a couple of months based on the work of our legislature on our state budget. So as Alejandro likely has shared, history has been made this legislative session. We have over 2,100 bills introduced, and House Bill 4000 is official. As you know, we typically do our House bills in the 2000s, but because we've officially maxed out the 2000s, we got up to, I believe we got up to House Bill 4152, which is just so, in my professional career, pretty bizarre to see, but just kind of shows the volume of our legislature this session. One big milestone, which is helpful for our work, is the committee work is complete. Many of you are very aware of the process and some pretty strict deadlines associated with bills moving through the legislative process. So now that the committee work is complete, this really gives a sense of what's still out there, what's still alive, and what we, as a Board of Supervisors representing Yuma County, need to work on to either fix or make go away or push across the finish line. So this is a really clarifying time in session. Serious revenue issues. That is a really big issue right now. We are seeing really poor sort of revenue outlooks, which is making things really challenging for balancing our state budget this year and the future years. So that's something that is creating a lot of challenges right now. Every year every few months that they have the Finance Advisory Committee, it just seems to get gloomier and gloomier in our revenue outlook. One of the biggest hangups right now in the state budget, which I'll get into a little bit more, is Proposition 123 extension. You all may be familiar. This is additional utilization of our state land trust dollars for K-12 education. Back in 2015 to 2025, the voters, based on a legislative referral, affirmed the additional use of state land trust dollars to support K-12 education. That funding expired in June 30th of 2025. So there's still some interest and momentum from the governor's office to renew Prop 123, but it is something that has to move through the legislature and to the voters, and there's just a lot of disagreements amongst political parties. There's even a lot of disagreement amongst within sort of caucuses to determine what's the best package. So that is definitely a huge budget hangup and also a point of leverage we are seeing. And then last Tuesday, last Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays ago, April 21st, was the 100th day of session. As a reminder, this is kind of the constitutional mile marker that our legislature likes to set to try to conclude their labors for the year. We have not met that deadline for quite a while, with COVID being the exception, but we are very likely to surpass this constitutionally set deadline. And kind of another reminder, the 120th day is when our legislature's per diem stipends reduce. So that's also sort of another point of interest to conclude their labors. So one of the big issues right now, beyond the negotiation of a state budget, is the governor on April 13th called a moratorium on bills, meaning with two exceptions to legislation, anything sent up to her desk would be vetoed because, again, she's really wanting to get a meaningful budget sent to her desk, and she's also wanting to see serious discussions on a Prop 123 K-12 education package come forward. So April 13th bill moratorium is leading to kind of a bit of a stalemate. We are not seeing bills move quickly through the legislative process. The calendars for our legislators are getting lesser and lesser. And for a Phoenix-based legislator, that's not necessarily completely inconvenient because they can easily drive downtown. But for our legislators that are located in Yuma and our legislators that are located in Navajo County that have to commute in, for them to drive down to have very little calendars is probably frustrating and a bit of a commitment. So this bill moratorium is currently in place. I'll get to kind of the question of the week is if and when that moratorium will be lifted, but it has resulted in slow calendar work at our legislature and not a ton of things moving, which is frustrating because members want to get their bills through, they want to get their bills signed, and they want to get out back in their community for the election. Sorry, I froze here. There we go. So state budget updates. So last week was a little bit of momentum on the budget. So the Republican House and Senate brought forward a budget package to sort of publish how they would approach balancing a budget for fiscal year 2027. It moved pretty quickly out of the House last week. On Monday, the bill was introduced. On Tuesday, it was discussed in a joint committee hearing. On Wednesday, it was voted out of the House and Senate. It was a partisan vote, which suggests that the Democrats nor the governor are supportive of this, and should it be sent to Governor Hobbs's desk, a veto is very likely, although that's not completely set in stone. Typically, we have seen these partisan issues coming to the governor's desk result in a veto. And we are expecting the Senate to discuss the bill today and potentially move the bill out either today or tomorrow and up to the governor's desk. But really, I put kind of what's next because the House and Senate and governor do need to agree on a budget before June 30th, and hopefully they agree on the budget very soon. So it's kind of up in the air as to when negotiations start again, what they look like, what the governor will agree to, and what the Republican legislature may sort of give on. So it's just a lot of uncertainty. But to me, one thing that is fairly certain is if and when the Senate votes the bills out today and they are up to the governor's desk, she will very likely veto those and sort of require a restart on the budget process. This is not unusual. We do typically see and have in the last few years some of this sort of gamesmanship around the budget. And even in years when we had a Republican legislature and a Republican governor, they still were very challenged with getting a budget done in a timely manner. So while frustrating, this is not entirely unusual. We typically see this sort of stalemate at this point in time. And while, most would like to get the budget done and something that is completed and across the finish line, this is just sort of the process that we have to go through. I hope when I present to you all in 2 weeks, I'm coming to present a state budget, but I will say I'm feeling a little bit like that's unlikely. So this budget that was published last week and moved out of the House on party lines and is being discussed by the Senate today is a $17.9 billion spending plan. It is $800 million less spending than the governor's budget that was published in January. As a reminder, the governor at the beginning of session publishes her version of what she would like to see the state budget, and then that is typically used through the process of negotiating. So this Republican-driven House and Senate budget is an $800 million less. It includes full alignment with the tax provisions in HR 1, the One Big Beautiful Bill adopted on July 4th of last year. So those tax provisions do trigger less revenue generation, which is one of the reasons that the governor has already vetoed several attempts at tax conformity. One really big, wide sweeping approach towards revenue or to spending reduction. And as a reminder, our revenue looks poor. So the legislature is really having to make some cuts in order to balance the budget, and also make some cuts to be able to align with the HR 1 tax provisions, is a 5% reduction for all state agencies, except those related to public safety, which is Department of Public Safety, Department of Corrections, and Department of Child Safety. So a 5% reduction is fairly substantial to some of these agencies. And another reason I do anticipate the governor will veto, because that is a 5% reduction essentially on the executive branch functions. The package also sweeps a pretty large swath of unspent funds, so funds that maybe were allocated in fiscal year 26 for different infrastructure related projects and haven't been spent down for a variety of reasons. You all understand how complex infrastructure projects and transportation related projects can be. We are grateful that neither our Somerton Bridge nor the waste tire appropriation that was secured last year are being swept. It would be a big surprise if the waste tire was swept, because I know that is already entirely spent. I know the Somerton Bridge is underway, but I just want to affirm that those two are safe, which is something to celebrate, because there's a lot of things that are being swept and a lot of very unhappy cities and counties as a result. This budget does not include any member-specific requests, and that's inclusive of your request for the US 95 repavement project. This is not, while disappointing to see, I guess you would say, because I know what a priority that is to you all, none of the members got their specific project requests. As a reminder, the last few years, the legislature has sort of taken an earmark approach to adopting the budget and giving members a certain allocation for their communities. That approach is how the Somerton Bridge, as well as the waste tire, were funded, was through that earmark pathway, but they are not doing that this year. So there's really no member specific requests, going back to what I said before on revenue being very poor and already requiring a 5% reduction to state agencies. The ability for members to get community-based project funds is not in the cards, at least in this Republican budget. Lastly, relevant to all counties, and something I know the County Supervisors Association is working really hard on, is trying to include some language in the final budget which adds expenditure limitation relief as part of the opioid settlement dollars. And then lastly, they are continuing to seek additional dollars for the state probation officer salary increases. And in this budget, as part of the sort of 5% reduction, did include a 5% reduction to Superior Court. So, this budget, it is definitely in this revenue picture challenging to approach this budget, regardless of what party or what your priorities are. This is going to be a very tricky year for them to figure out that balance that gets the necessary votes of the Republicans, get the necessary votes of Democrats, and get a governor's signature. It's every year it seems like a tall task, but I will just say, in my professional capacity, this year is going to be unlike any other, just as a result of the poor revenue outlooks. Okay, so just a couple of bill updates. I know Alejandro has likely given you guys the updates on these items, but these were the two sort of priority items worked through the County Supervisors Association process that are kind of Yuma County issues. Senate Bill 1419, this is we call it the Solar Energy Consumer Protection Bill. I've heard from many of you some of the challenges of the solar workmanship, as well as some of the predatory sales tactics in Yuma County. And so this is one that we worked really collaboratively with the Arizona Solar Association to figure out how we can ensure better outcomes for individuals who choose to install and purchase or lease rooftop solar. So we worked incredibly hard with the industry to figure out that balance that really leads to better consumer protections, but also, you know, at the end of the day, they don't want to unwind things for the good actors, those that are quality workmanship and really ethical sales practice. So we found that balance from our understanding. Just last week, the bill did pass through, which is called the House Committee of the Whole. It had an amendment that got the solar industry to support. So that sort of leads to us understanding that we should get the necessary bipartisan votes to get out of the House, which we could see move out of the House over the next week or two. Because it's amended over in the House, it will go back to the Senate for a final read. There is no major hustle from us to move it quickly out of the legislature because, again, there's that bill moratorium in place. So we certainly don't want to send it up to the governor and have it be vetoed. So all that to say, I do want to just thank, I know many of you have advocated and assisted in getting this to this point in the legislative process. Vice Chair Lyons, I know you have worked your caucus really, really hard, so thank you for that, or your Republican colleagues, and Supervisor Pancrazzi has communicated and provided some letters of support. So all of your efforts, really, truly, all of you are why we are here today. So I want to thank you. You know, we're not entirely there, so I don't want to celebrate too much, but I feel like just we are going to get there and should get there, and something to really celebrate with you all. The one to celebrate, though, is House Bill 2324. This was one clarifying some fire code jurisdictional issues on county buildings. This one was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor, and we will see this take effect 90 days after the conclusion of our legislative session. So they're not done with session, but could be kind of August, September timeframe. A couple of bills I want to just keep on your radar. These are all still alive in the legislative process and have impacts on Yuma County. One is a legislative referral. It's got a mirror in the House and Senate. This is dealing with elections related topics. It would, should it pass the legislature, it would go to the voters in November. And so this is something I'm just continuing to keep on your radar and ensure you're well aware, because it could have some fiscal impacts. Specifically, the big fiscal impact is the on-site tabulation requirement. It's my understanding that Yuma County has on-site tabulation on actual election day, but this would also be applicable to early voting. And so it does have some fiscal impacts associated with that. The other is it's a requirement for government issued identification to vote. There's still a lot of questions around what this looks like for mail-in voting. And so this is just one, again, it's out there. It's something that people continue to communicate about. While the intent is good on trying to, from the sponsor's perspective, lead to a more efficient and effective election, it does have some administrative and implementation issues that counties and associations continue to communicate to the legislature. Another one is HCR 2016. This is one you all are probably well aware of. I just keep this on a radar because it's still very much alive in the sense of a legislature. I do feel like because of a lot of your advocacy and the advocacy of so many others, that this bill is very likely to not move forward to the ballot in November. Because again, this is another one that's a referral, so it wouldn't go to the governor for signature. It would go to the voters, but it's basically the moratorium on fees and taxes until June 30th, 2030. While again, the intent is trying to keep costs low for Arizonans, and I know you all share that sentiment. Just the practical realities of decisions associated with this, the practical realities of utility rates are why this sort of one-size-fits-all approach is not policy that's really practical and able to be implemented across Arizona. The last one and relevant to some of the conversation I heard earlier is the state land continuation bill. This is one I know Alejandro's covered before, but I just want to keep it relevant on your radars because not only is the state land department sort of overseeing some of the leases in Yuma County, but it does have specific provisions dealing with lease holdovers. And as a reminder, a lease holdover is the status of AgTech, which is an entity you all are well aware of and has been dialogued here. As mentioned, there has been no shortage of conversations with the State Land Department and the Department of Environmental Quality associated with this. This state land continuation is going to be pretty heavily dialogued through the next couple weeks. Ultimately, the resolution will be a continuation of the state land. The question is what policy will be included within that, and that's where we are just monitoring this closely and making sure that the product is something that doesn't unintentionally sort of unwind some of the progress made in Yuma County associated with communicating the challenges with some lease holdovers in the community. And I think this one is the final one. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for having me online. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there in person. I will be down at the Senate shortly to listen to their dialogue and debate on the budget, but I'm more than happy to be a resource anytime you all have questions today, or you've got my email and phone number. Please feel free anytime. I really enjoy working with you all, and Alejandro is just an incredible asset to your team, and I look forward to him coming back, but for now I can help fill his shoes as much as possible.
Thank you, Alexis. You were present with us when we met with Director Peters from ADEQ as a follow-up to the holdover bill, as well as Robin Said from State Land Department. Do you have any additional information to share with us that we can share today?
I will just say conversations are continuing. The advocacy and the constant communication and dialogue with you all, your legislators are definitely communicating on your behalf. While I know the community and others would really like to see immediate action, as you all would, there are steps that have to be taken as part of this work. So I would just say to the community, continuing to reach out to State Land Department and Department of Environmental Quality. They need to know and continue to hear, and that advocacy is working and will continue, I imagine. But I hope to have some additional updates. I will say I met with Senator Dunn recently. He is well aware, he is hearing, he is understanding. So I really do hope, whether it's through the state land continuation bill or the great avenues that you all continue to just advocate for your community and make their voices heard. I really do cross my fingers that we should have some information and resolution over the next couple of months.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Are there any questions from the board for Alexis?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Go to the Senate and return the report.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to go to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission, Yuma County Board of Adjustment, and legal actions will be taken. Do we have any appointments for Board of Adjustment or Planning and Zoning?
None.
Okay, thank you. We will go to item number 1. Chairman proclaims the month of May 2026 to be Nurses Month in Yuma County. At the same time, I'm going to open agenda item number 2. Supervisor Pancrazi will read both of those proclamations. We have different people to accept, and you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Proclaiming the month of May 2026 as Nurses Month in Yuma County. Whereas nearly 4 million registered nurses in the United States comprise our nation's largest healthcare profession. And whereas the American Nurses Association, as the voice for the registered nurses of this country, is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing delivery of primary and preventive health care. And whereas the demand for qualified registered nurses services will be greater than ever due to the current health crisis, the aging population, and expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the growth of the home health care services. And whereas, along with the American Nurses Association, the Yuma County Public Health Services District has declared the expansion of Nurses Week to the entire month of May as National Nurses Month, with the theme, the Year of the Power of Nurses. Now, therefore, the month of May 2026 is hereby proclaimed as Nurses Month in Yuma County and honors the registered nurses who care for us all, not just during this month, but throughout the year.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. Diana, are you here with us? And Karina and Sarah, if they all want to join you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Diana.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Vice Chairman Lyons, I have to modify this. Members of the board, Diana Gomez, Chief Health Officer for Yuma County. Thank you so much for this proclamation. Nurses embody compassion, resilience, and dedication. They are a critical part of the healthcare team, often caring for patients at their most vulnerable. And I'll introduce Karina, our clinical director, and Sarah, our nurse practitioner, since you guys can be on either side.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
Today we celebrate nurses working in various fields, and we have representatives from those fields here today, I'm very happy to say. Public health nurses, for example, promote community wellness, disease prevention, health education, and connect patients to valuable services across our community. You have bedside nurses, and I know there's a team from Envita here. So we have those nurses often caring for those patients when they're at their most vulnerable, when they're ill, and there's just so many specialties within bedside nursing. We have community and home health nurses, and so some of us have those experiences where somebody comes to your house and they care for a loved one or a family member, ensuring that access to care is not limited by your ability to leave your house. And then we have leadership and education, and I know we have representatives from AWC here, and they are the leaders. They're out there doing advocacy, education, and outreach, and they are training the next generation of nurses. So today we celebrate those nurses, recognizing that their work is not just a profession, but a profound vocation that touches countless lives in our community. And so if we take a picture now,
Yes. Thank you,
I'd
Diana.
like to invite all of them up here
All
to
nurses.
join us.
Everybody
all
come
nurses
up.
come up here.
All the nurses come up.
All right, I don't know how we're.
Oh, yes. We're turning.
One, can you scoop this one?
Next item, Chairman proclaims the week of May 6 through 12, 2026 to be Nurses Week in Yuma County. Supervisor Pancrazy.
Oh, hold on, let me get my cheat sheet. The words are bigger on my other sheet, so I can read them a little better. Proclaiming the week of May 6th through the 12th, 2026 as Nurses Week in Yuma County. Whereas nurses in the United States constitute our nation's largest healthcare profession and meet the different and emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a wide range of settings. And whereas the American Nurses Association celebrating its 130th anniversary as the voice for nurses in this country is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing access to primary and preventative health care and better utilization of all our nation's nursing resources. And whereas professional nursing is an indispensable component of the safety and quality of care of hospitalized and non-hospitalized patients, and the demand for nursing services will be greater than ever because of the aging American population, emerging health challenges, and the continuing expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the explosion of growth of the home health care services. Whereas, along with the American Nurses Association, the Rio Colorado Yuma Chapter 7 has declared May 6th to the 12th as Nurses Week, with the theme, The Power of Nurses, with appreciation of nurses' unparalleled impact and their contribution to health. Now, therefore, the chairman of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors proclaims the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2026 as Nurses Week in Yuma County, and encourage residents of Yuma County to join us in honoring the nurses who care for all of us.
Thank you very much. And we have with us here today Marilyn Whittington and Shannon Perry.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Vice Chairman Lines and Supervisor Pancrazy and my District 3 Supervisor Darren Simmons. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for inviting us up here today. My name is Marilyn Whittington. I am a registered nurse, and I'm here also with Sharon Perry, a registered nurse. I'm an officer, of the Rio Colorado Yuma Chapter 7, which falls under the Arizona Nurses Association, the state level, and that is under the huge national umbrella of the American Nurses Association, the ANA. I am joined here today, as we just saw, other nurses in the audience. Thank you. This year is, as Supervisor Pancrazy said, our 130th birthday. Founded in 1896, it is the ANA that initially proclaimed it, and I don't have the exact year. May 12th happens to be the birthday of Florence Nightingale, the nurse with the lamp from the Crimean War in the mid-1800s. The ANA represents the voice of its membership of 2.7 million registered nurses in the country, but the ANA actually represents the voice of every single RN in the country, and that is over 5 million nurses. I went to the Arizona State Board of Nursing to get some data. They did tell me that RNs and advanced practice RNs now total 140,443, and they could not give me any data just for Yuma County. So I'm going to work on that for next year. Onvita alone, as an example, has 1,000 RNs, and then we have many other facilities in Yuma. Those numbers might look good, but we have a looming nursing shortage. As our population is aging, our health needs are increasing. The ANA is the professional nursing organization. It does advocate for all the roles as a registered nurse, and this includes the advanced practice RN. That's the roles of nurse practitioners, certified nurse midwives, clinical nurse specialists, and certified nurse anesthetists. The ANA amplifies the voices of nurses across America to drive the change and make a difference. It is fitting for this ANA theme of Nurses Week, the power of nurses, and it opens up a lot of doors. As Diana stated, RNs work in a variety of practice settings, and there's no way we can list them all, from hospitals to clinics, the VA system, the rehabs, the specialties, mental health, oncology, organ transplants, public health, here today, schools of nursing, the K through 12 school nurses, hospice and palliative care, home health, all of our freestanding clinics, walk-ins, primary care, urgent care, our huge correction system, long-term care, memory care, dialysis centers, emergency and life flight nursing, insurance company work, occupational nursing. We have a regulatory side to it. That's our Arizona Board of Nursing. Research, forensic nursing, the list goes on. But let's not forget our military. That was Florence Nightingale back from the 1800s, and we still have a lot of nurses in the military. RNs organize and also lead support groups, and in Yuma, we have a relatively new support group for dementia and Alzheimer's, a much needed support group by one of our members in our chapter. She also organized and started the stroke support group, so kudos to her. We have other chapter members, and they are entrepreneurs. They have started their businesses from hospice, end-of-life care, home health, medical transport, and the list goes on. We have many private practice primary providers in the advanced practice RN role also. Arizona has 3 RNs on the Arizona State Legislature. Locally, Yuma has 2 RNs, advanced practice RNs, on the Yuma City Council. Yay. This week, we hope, under Nurses Light Up the Sky, I've been confirmed that the One City Plaza will be lit up from the 6th through the 12th, and we're hoping that other facilities in Yuma will be lit up. So drive by, look at the red lights, thank a nurse, and we thank you for allowing us to share our story with the Yuma County Board of Supervisors and the public here today. We do strive to continue to earn the trust of the public for nursing and health care. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Personal to me, my oldest daughter's a nurse, and she just pinned my daughter-in-law as an RN. So very personal to me, so I appreciate your service and dedication.
Thank you. That's great.
And it's personal to me. I have 2 nieces who are at AWC working on their nursing.
Great. Could we invite all the nurses back up for one photo? Absolutely. Thank you. I don't think we'll say no.
Next is agenda item number 3. Chairman proclaims May 15th, 2026 as Law Enforcement Memorial Day in Yuma County. Supervisor Simmons.
Proclaiming the day of May 15th, 2026 to be Law Enforcement Memorial Day in Yuma County. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed the May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, also called Law Enforcement Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas Law Enforcement Memorial Day pays recognition to all law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas Law Enforcement Memorial Day is a collaborative effort of many organizations dedicated to honoring America's law enforcement community. Now therefore, the day of May 15th, 2026 is hereby proclaimed to be Law Enforcement Memorial Day in Yuma County. And I think we have a newly promoted sergeant just this morning here to accept it.
Wonderful.
So
Congratulations.
I've known William since he joined the department, so it's nice to see.
How long is that?
18 years?
Okay.
Yeah, pretty close.
Wonderful.
18 years.
Thank you for your service. Would you like to say anything?
I'm a man of few words.
Okay.
Just for May 15th, that way we can honor our fallen brothers and sisters and for the sacrifices, and not only that, but for their families as well who suffered a great loss.
Thank you very much. Let's take a picture. Agenda item number 4, back to Supervisor Simmons. Chairman proclaims the day of May 13th, 2026 to be Facility Management Day in Yuma County. And we have Tiffany, Greg, Scott, Joaquin, Abisai, Jacob, Idral, and Lupe to come up afterwards to accept the proclamation.
Okay, proclaiming the day of May 13th, 2026 as Facilities Management Day in Yuma County. Whereas facility management is a profession dedicated to ensuring the functionality, comfort, and safety, sustainability, and efficiency of the buildings in which we all live and work. Whereas facility managers perform and oversee a variety of essential functions, including cleaning, security, maintenance, grounds management, emergency response, project management and sustainability, planning, and whereas organizations such as the International Facility Management Association serve the global community through learning, networking opportunities, and leadership skills to empower facility managers to solve challenges today and in the future. And whereas World Facilities Management Day recognizes the efforts of the facility management professionals who influence the health, safety, productivity, and well-being of people who utilize the built environment. And whereas Yuma County is grateful for the positive impacts facility managers have on our infrastructure, the safety of our population, and our economy. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize the efforts of organizations and individuals working to ensure a safer built environment, happy and healthy occupants, and a sustainable world. Now therefore, the day of May 13th, 2026 is hereby proclaimed to be Facilities Management Day in Yuma County.
Tiffany.
Vice Chair Lyons, members of the board, thank you for having us here this morning in recognition of World Facility Management Day. We have our supervisors, our facilities management leadership that's going to join me in accepting this proclamation. but just thank you for the acknowledgement of all facilities professionals throughout Yuma County in keeping our buildings safe, healthy, and functional.
Thank you very much. Would you like to invite your team up?
I did, they just ignored me.
I know.
I was afraid to get up in front of everybody.
Dr. Trenchell, are you ready? Okay, next we'll have a presentation on the economic impact of healthcare investments by Dr. Robert Trenchell, President and CEO of Onvita Health, and Jim Rounds, President of Rounds Consulting. Rounds first.
Board members, good to see you. Before I begin, since there's been a lot of discussion about the State Land Department, behind the scenes, we've been working on a complete overhaul, and there's going to be a lot of work happening this summer, and I'm still taking complaints from different communities. So maybe, Ian, we can chat later, and I'd love to hear about other ways that we can come down on them a little bit harder than the Auditor General did.
We did pass legislation to hold them more accountable, but so far the enforcement has been lacking, so thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, you are going to love this report.
I love it, thank you.
When it comes out. Here to talk on Onvita Health, and this has been one of the more interesting analyses that we've done because it's so unique. We do a lot of impact analyses, we do a lot of policy analysis at the Capitol, work for the private sector. This one has been very interesting because the impacts were quite a bit larger than I anticipated for a number of reasons. And I put my own quote in there because it was my PowerPoint. Full service, high quality hospital in a rural region provides a rare economic development advantage. And I can speak from experience. I'm currently doing a strategic plan for City of Maricopa. I was told if we could help get them a hospital, they'd put a statue of me in one of the parks. Wow. Now that was tongue in cheek, but they were trying to emphasize they need a hospital. I confirmed. They need a hospital. It's very important. This is a major economic development contributor, not just from the numbers, but also for additional business recruitment. And the numbers are quite large. What I'd like to see when we started analyzing it is it wasn't just a typical small scale emergency room or anything like that. It was a large entity that had a lot of different components. You got the medical center, you got the primary and specialty clinics, behavioral health campus. All of these different components contribute to the health and well-being of the community. In terms of some of the numbers, and I have to go through this very quickly because we only have 10 minutes and I want to give more time to the more important person standing behind me. 14.4% of the total workforce in Yuma is based on the direct and indirect activity at the hospital. About the same percent for economic output, and 1.5 billion in economic output total. But here are the ones that I think people can more relate to. 8,800 jobs are supported. 41.6 million in state and local tax revenue, and I just covered the 1.5 billion. We're talking about a large impact. And we analyzed this over a 5-year period. And so we had to come up with a job year is one job over 5 years would be 5 job years. So you don't want to be double counting or misrepresenting it. It's not 20,000 jobs, but on an average annual basis, we have 3,500 jobs, 5,600 total. And you can see that the state taxes have been about 100 million, the county taxes almost 20, and city 17. And this is going to continue to increase. In fact, one of the recommendations that we had in the report was we think we need to be looking forward. because I still think the best is in front of us. After we get through the economic hiccup that's in front of us, and I know you've had to discuss quite a bit in doing budgets and things like that, I'm expecting this to be one of the best expansions that the state's ever had. I think Yuma has an excellent opportunity to participate in that with the right guidance from you, the council, and other business leaders. Keep in mind that infrastructure is more than roads. Whenever I talk about energy or data centers or anything else, I always like to start with roads because people can picture a road. A road has an economic impact because somebody has to construct it, somebody has to maintain it, but that's not the purpose. It's really an input into businesses locating on it and then delivering their products. And so a hospital, especially in an area like this, is one of those infrastructure items. And so all those numbers that I showed you are much less than reality, especially going forward, because without the hospital and its expansion plans, it would be much more difficult to be doing some of the business recruitment that you and your teams have been working on so aggressively. And a lot of those opportunities will be coming up over this next decade. Additional items, the retention of the revenues, staying local is a big deal. So the nonprofit status, the major employer and the economic development infrastructure, again, it doesn't just stop with the roads and the utility lines, but the fact that there's full hospital benefits, that's quite rare. When we took the project on, I was not anticipating the impacts to be anywhere near what they are, because I did not think that the scale of the impact on the community was nearly as large, or the skill set of the employees at the hospital being as high quality as they are. Just a quick point, 4,700 direct full-time workers, 2,300 plus hold higher education degrees. That's a huge percentage of the total. That's something that we usually don't see, even with some of the hospitals in the urban areas, and we've analyzed maybe a dozen over the last maybe 7 or 8 years. This one, compared to the scale, the size, for me was the most impressive so far. And the hospital is still going to be growing compared to the size of the economy as a whole, but I don't think that the economy as a whole is limited by what has happened recently. We had a very unusual downturn. We've had 2 unusual downturns, very unusual period. These opportunities are going to be in front of you. Those opportunities are going to match up with opportunities for Onvita. If you can marry those two, along with the other items that drive your economy, again, I think Yuma, as people picture it now, will be different than how they picture it in 5 years and then in 10 years. Now, since a hospital's here, there clearly is not going to be a statue of me in a park, but that's actually okay. Additional training programs, residency and fellowship programs, I was not anticipating seeing these. University partnerships, high school and community outreach, the UA Medical School. These are the things that bring extra value to an area. These are the things that also help to bring new areas of exploration. In terms of when you have these partnerships, you can sometimes create centers where it looks at Alzheimer's at a more robust level than you otherwise would see. There could be research centers. There could be additional spin-off activity with the right partnerships where it's not just about lifting up the employment base from those employees, but the extra research often corresponds with also perceptions about the community, which helps with business recruitment, and with the recruitment of individuals. The key is to continue to have individuals come into the area, but also make sure that they have good chances to have higher levels of academic achievement. They're paying more in taxes, and what does that do? It pays for the infrastructure that you need for that next business to come in. So a lot of these government items really follow private sector principles in my mind. Some of the next phases of growth, San Luis campus, we've been chatting with Onvita about that, the Health Career Center in 2027, and the Veterans Medical Facility. Again, a big impact, $180 million in capital investment. And so it's not just a rural hospital, it's a full-service hospital. It's a full-service hospital that likes to think beyond just the status quo and go beyond the impact on the individual community. And so because of that, I was very impressed. The full report will be available. I recommend at least reading the executive summary. It's impressive. And looking forward, that'll be determined, but it'll give you some perspective on what we're thinking about the long-term outlook of Yuma, and I like it a lot. In fact, and I'll leave with, last time I was here, I really enjoyed seeing some of these streets. I'm from Tempe. Enjoyed seeing these streets. I pictured myself on one strip where if I was plopped down, I would think I was in Scottsdale or someplace like that. It was really neat. But this building finally matches the importance of the county board and the county staff. And I think that this was an important contribution. I didn't know that it was here. In fact, when I pulled up, I thought I was in the wrong place until I saw Ian, and then I realized, so very well done. You're doing a great job with management. I haven't seen your budget, but I'm hoping that you've done a good job with that too.
Very conservative budget.
Good, perfect.
And this is the first building for the Board of Supervisors in over 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Excellent, good job.
Thank you very much, Jim. Any questions for Jim from the board? All right. Ready to hear from Dr. Trenchel.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. Vice Chairman Lyons, thank you. Supervisor Pancrazzi, Supervisor Simmons, thank you for having us. And I'll be brief. And you heard a lot about this, but looking forward is really exciting for Onvita. You know, we've got the affiliation we started with University of Arizona, Arizona's first rural regional medical branch. This has been something that we've been working on at Onvita for 2 years to get this underway. Kudos to our board, really, for having the foresight that an organization like this and bringing a medical school here to Yuma will help advance not only the healthcare in our community, but it'll advance the community as a whole. Starting small, 15 students per year, it'll be 45 students total. And you know, in normal how we think of things, we're just looking to expand that almost right out of the gate. This will be a great experience for the students, and we hope to retain some of those individuals here, obviously, in the future. But if that doesn't happen, we know they're going to be rural focused, and we hope they occupy other positions in the state of Arizona or in Southwest U.S. But the relationship and the partnership with UA has been fantastic. The dean has been very easy to work with, and we'll be accepting our first students here in July of this year, 26. So we'd like to invite you all to the white coat ceremony we'll be having for those students. We think that'll be a pretty distinctive event. Additionally, VA Medical Clinic, this is something that also we've been working on for 2 years. You know, negotiating with the federal government is not easy, and getting this lease done was not easy. This is really the first of its kind in the country, with the VA partnering with a private entity to build them a facility specific for them. So this is going to triple the size of the facility that they're currently in. We're building the building. They're going to lease it from us, and the VA is going to staff it. Program is going to be all aligned with the VA. During the course of these negotiations, we offered to build inpatient beds to have a VA hospital here. We offered to extend our medical records so we could have a common platform with which to communicate the healthcare needs of our veterans. They didn't want to go that in deep yet, but again, those things are for the future. This is a very proud moment for us to be able to build a facility for veterans who serve so valiantly for our country to secure our freedoms, and then to give them a place where they can receive health care with the dignity and the honor that they deserve. It's an honor for us to do this. Health Career Center, this is a partnership with Arizona Western College, again, another great local partner. We're building this building. Arizona Western College is not going to lease it, but they're going to put programming in place that is going to serve the healthcare needs of our community. We felt this was important, and we knew this would be a good investment because it's going to give us a steady pipeline of healthcare workers with which we can draw from in the future. Because as you saw with nurses, and congratulations to the nurses, healthcare would be nothing without nurses, so thank you for everything that you do. Nursing programs will be in here. Medical assistant programs, radiology tech, surgical techs, but this will also be cybersecurity, be billing and coding, facilities. There's a whole gamut of education and training needs that are needed in healthcare that are not only clinical. So this will be a resource for us, obviously at Onvita, but most importantly, it's going to be a resource for the community. Individuals can get educated and trained here. Hopefully they can work in our community, but if they don't work in our community, they can take that education and training and advance themselves and their careers and their families' futures to get those good paying healthcare jobs that we know are out there. So we see this as a significant community service, and we're very proud to do this as well. San Luis Health Campus, this will be a 24-bed hospital located in San Luis. It'll be a full-service hospital, full emergency department with board-certified emergency physicians. We'll have full surgery there. We're very excited about this, slated to open spring, summer of '27, so we're moving very fast. A lot of the work has been underground in this. San Luis has been very accommodating in terms of their support of this, and we're really eager and excited to go down to that community and start providing services there. We remain rooted in our community. It's one of the values of the organization, and it's one of the pillars upon which we're built. We've contributed over $6 million in community support for various organizations around the community, and we'll continue to do that. We think it's important. We've been blessed, and we want to share those blessings with those around us. We also provide significant services in the community that don't have a positive ROI, but we know that it's an important service to maintain for the community, and we see that as a community benefit as well. So in conclusion, thank you to Mr. Rounds for the work that he's done on the economic impact. You know, we knew as an organization we always had a significant impact on the health of our community. We didn't really know what the economic impact was and the drive and the foundational aspect of our economic contributions to the community. And with that, we know comes a great responsibility to continue to maintain that and continue to grow that. And I think if you've seen here a bit, the growth that we have planned for the future, and we'll have more obviously in the queue. Your support and leadership in that process has been instrumental. So thank each and every one of you, and Mr. Reyes and Mr. Porches as well, though they're not here. But thank you all for your help and support throughout the years. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Trenchel. Just briefly, shortly after you arrived here, you and I had a conversation about the level of care. And as a frequent flyer at the hospital with 11 children, I have to commend you on the improvement of healthcare within Yuma County and the foresight to plan ahead as Yuma's hospital to be able to provide that. It's critical. You know, a lot of people ask us about the quality of our health care, and I can say that I've never been more proud, so I want to commend you and your team and your leadership, and I am very grateful for the progress having been made here in this community.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to the team and appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
That and the VA clinic out in the foothills, that's been long overdue, having a facility to treat our veterans. And like I said, I like seeing it out in the foothills because we have so many retired veterans in that area. And there's a lot more, you know, that are fixing to retire. And a lot of people talking to them are looking at Yuma as a retirement place. So this really helps having them want to come here, having services that they can rely on to take care of them and their needs as they get older.
Thank you. We definitely want to keep them here.
And I know nothing was mentioned about the Cancer Center, but your Cancer Center is excellent. And the way it collaborates with other facilities and make sure that the folks here in Yuma have outstanding services. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I omitted to recognize my sister as an RN as well. So
Did she text you?
Yeah, somebody texted me, yeah.
Would have gotten a text.
My mom, you know. Thank you. Appreciate everybody being here today. We're going to go to presentation of the mix.
Welcome to The Mix. Yuma County recently held a special budget session where it recommended $535.6 million budget for fiscal year 2026 to 2027 was presented. The plan emphasized fiscal stability, long-term planning, and essential services. A couple of highlights included a 3% reduction in overall spending and no net workforce growth. The proposal also outlined capital projects and employee pay adjustments, with public review continuing ahead of tentative adoption in June. Yuma County Public Works took proactive steps to educate the community during National Work Zone Awareness Week themed Safe Actions Save Lives. Observed from April 20th to 24th, the campaign focused on promoting safe practices for both motorists and roadway workers. As part of the initiative, Public Works staff visited Kofa High School to engage with teen drivers, sharing critical knowledge about work zone safety.
We focus on the high schools because those are where our new drivers are at, and if you look at when they go and test for their driving tests, there's nothing that tells them, how to drive through a work zone. So we came up with the idea about 4 years ago to, for Work Zone Awareness Week, visit the schools, bring the kids more aware of, what to look, what to expect when they're out there driving and they come up on a work zone.
This effort underscores Yuma County Public Works' ongoing commitment to creating a safer environment for all road users and workers. The Yuma County Public Health Services District is offering 73 free swim lesson scholarships for children ages 6 months to 5 years. The program aims to reduce drowning risk among the most vulnerable group, ages 1 to 4. This marks the 3rd year of the effort, bringing the total number of lessons provided to 298. Registration opens May 4th through the City of Yuma Parks and Recreation Division, with classes at Marcus Pool and Carver Pool. Before we go, Yuma County marked National County Government Month by honoring employees at its annual recognition ceremony, including those celebrating years of service. Alejandro Figueroa was named Employee of the Year for his leadership in county administration. Lisbeth Camargo earned Superior Court Employee of the Year for her work with youth and families. Luis Serrano Molina received the Safety Excellence Award, and the Chairman's Cup went to County Administration for its 5-year plan. Thanks for tuning in. Residents can catch the latest episode of The Mix by visiting yumacountyaz.gov and navigating to the VOD section. You can also head over to Yuma County's official YouTube channel. English episodes are available under the Mix playlist, while Spanish-speaking viewers can find the Spanish version under El Condado Informado. Both platforms offer access to current and past episodes. ¿Prefiere ver The Mix en español? No se lo pierda. La versión en español del programa está disponible bajo la lista de reproducción El Condado Informado en el canal oficial de YouTube del Condado de Yuma. Gracias por acompañarnos. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the consent agenda. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent for separate discussion and action. Do we have any requests to pull any consent items for discussion?
No, if not, I'll make a motion. We approve consent items 1 through 14 as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We're going to go and let's see here. Regular discussion calendar, discussion and action items. The board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. Development Services, Planning and Zoning Division, discussion around the possible action regarding the proposed Yuma County Noise Ordinance, which is intended to protect public health, safety, and welfare by regulating excessive, unnecessary, and unreasonable noise in unincorporated areas of Yuma County. And we will turn the time over to Planning and Zoning.
You got a green light down there?
You hear me now? Better?
There we go, it's a little
There you
better.
go. The intent of this proposed noise control ordinance is to regulate the excessive noises in the Yuma County unincorporated areas. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, but they also recommend some changes to the current ordinance that we presented to them. One of the changes were on the exemptions, where they want to add generators on number 2, construction and maintenance and generator activities are permitted between 6 a.m. and 12 a.m., excluding Sundays and legal holidays unless otherwise permitted. However, from May through October, permitted hours shall be 3 a.m. to 12 a.m. Also, the commission recommended to add an additional exemption for generators used for lawfully established off-grid properties and during temporary power outages or emergency utility interruptions. Also, one of the commissioners recommended that the ordinance should establish an objective noise threshold for enforcement, including a decibel standard and a plainly audible standard to determine when a complaint may be initiated. Those are the recommendations from the commission to add to the ordinance. Does any of the board members have any additional recommendations or comments?
Anybody from the board?
No.
No? Any other questions or comments for us?
You would like to make a motion to send this back to the Planning and Commission to initiate a text amendment?
Should I open it up to call to the public before we make that motion, Ian or County Attorney? Okay. We will, if you'll stand by, we're going to open it up to call to the public right now because we do have 3 people that have asked to speak on this matter. All right. We will start with Mr. Ronnie Rubino.
All right, good morning, everyone, again. And before I start this, I'd like to tell everybody at the county, I'd like to give you a great big thank you, especially those at planning and zoning, especially the people that...
If he could state his name and address.
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Name and address is Ronnie Rubino. I'm at 1879 West County 17.5 Street.
Thank you.
But thank you all to everybody that work for the county, especially those that actually answer telephones and get back to people when they leave messages. I could say the least for the city. Okay, if it's not too late, I'd like to suggest a couple maybe changes or iterations, maybe an addition. When it comes to the, we'll say the shutdown times or quiet times, if we can maybe mimic it a little closer to the city's noise ordinance of, I think it's 9 during the week, or 9 p.m. during the week, and 10 p.m. on the weekends. I think that'd be a little better since response times out to the county, if there is an actual issue, usually takes about 30 to maybe 30 minutes to an hour. The next one would maybe be the addition of a noise decibel rating and a base rating. I think the cities is just about in tune with that, and it should be probably along the lines of the same thing. I think it was 70 dBs on the daytime, 65 on the nighttime. But other than that, I think I'm good with everything else. Everything else here looks pretty standard.
So more or less, you're asking us to mimic what the city has done.
Yeah, generally, I think they did a good job with that. And then especially on the noise decibel rating, I think that would kind of make things a little more fair for any parties involved, the accuser, accusee. It would protect the accuser from said accusee if it got down to that level. They had to bring out a noise meter and say, okay, you know, you're correct or incorrect. Other than that, I think I'm fine on everything here, but my neighbor Dan the man here is much better at writing things down than I am, so I'm going to let him speak next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys again.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Ronnie. And your comments are duly noted. Dan Tortolano. Heavy on the East Coast accent, please.
I didn't realize there was a dress code here. I'm retired, so my shorts are acceptable. My name is Daniel Tortolano. I live at 2157 West County 17.5 Street in Somerton, Arizona. I'm here in support of the noise ordinance to be implemented. Just a little bit about my background. I was a design and audio engineer for Bose Corporation for about 30 years. I was the general manager of the Bose manufacturing facility in Mexico here in town, and also the manufacturing facility of Allside. And I work closely with OSHA regarding noise and hearing issues. So I'm knowledgeable about sound levels and how that impacts. And so I'm here in support of the county noise ordinance. As a property owner out in the county, other property owners are renting properties. They're leasing their properties to parties, weddings, whatever that may be. And those parties go well into the night, sometimes till 2 a.m. And the sound levels are well above harmful levels that are established by OSHA. They're a public nuisance, they're excessive, and a safety issue. And just as putting it in a frame of reference, normal conversation with regards to the decibel levels. Normal conversation is around 60 dB. This microphone here, we're probably at around 70, 75 dB. Considering like heavy traffic, power lawnmowers around between 80 and 90 decibels. 85 for long periods, meaning more than 2 hours, is considered harmful. Leaf blower is about 106 to 115 decibels. Bands and concerts, which is what we're subjected to out in the county, those are between 120 and 130 decibel levels. And so when these events occur out in the county, at property level, right at the property edge, they're probably at about 125, 130 decibels. I live, and depending on where the event is happening, I can be a tenth and a half mile away, and my decibel levels there are up still in the 85 decibel range, a tenth of a mile away from these events. So having this ordinance would be a huge improvement to the safety for the people living right next to these properties. I mean, I'm a tenth and a half mile away. So again, I'm supporting it. I'd really like to see some type of an ordinance implemented, and would appreciate that moving forward.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Aaron, please remember your full name and your address, date of birth,
Yes,
social
sir.
security.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice Chairman, Board of Supervisors. Aaron Selly at 728-07001. I stand before you because I am vehemently against this. Absolutely and totally. We have plenty of other ways to deal with these kind of issues, and in helping some of the other businesses and people in the area, the amount of noise that's coming from these businesses, especially after they were walled off, is nowhere near the levels that are annoying to people. You hear the traffic of Foothills Boulevard over the music that comes from the venues near that and in that area. Neighbors should be civic-minded and engage each other instead of using the police and ordinances to solve all their problems. This will not solve the real issue. People that are lacking neighborly fortitude and totally dependent on law enforcement to solve any issue are what's really at stake here. The trick is we have planning and zoning and land use rights that are specifically designed to have outdoor music and outdoor venues. If we want to say what this ordinance is actually doing, which is to limit fiestas, parties, celebrations, and any type of outdoor music, we should change the zoning regulations rather than to create a noise ordinance. Exemptions were included for 7 items that cover a myriad of things, including construction that may begin as early as 3 a.m., and that was specifically introduced by planning and zoning members because of construction requirements between May and October. Because of the heat and the different things that we have, we work plenty of alternate hours in the foothills and in the county just to get things done. It's unreasonable to ask people that do things outside in construction, like gardeners and leaf blowers and people working on roofs and other things, to not be able to work during quiet hours. And if we're allowing people to do lawnmowers and leaf blowers and do gardening work at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning during the summer, we should have no problem with other noises at all as well. The generator exclusion was one that I brought up and clearly required for people who live off-grid, especially during September and October because of the clouds and cloud cover. If what's really at issue here is noise and people going through concerts and outdoor events, we have a state statute that covers this perfectly. 132904 covers disorderly conduct, and I'm going to read that directly only because the screenshot matters. One moment. So it basically says that disorderly conduct is any person commits disorderly conduct if they make unreasonable noise, disturb the peace and quiet of a neighborhood, family, or person, and it's typically a Class 1 misdemeanor. Our county sheriff's office and those deputies who serve our county are already spread thin. Let's not make this yet another ordinance that they have to enforce and deal with. We can use laws that are already on the books, and we can change things about our county other ways than introducing new laws and new situations.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you sure? Do you rest?
What's that?
Do you rest? Nothing more?
Nothing more.
All right, that was exactly 3 minutes. Appreciate that. Okay. Any other comments on that?
No comments.
All right, I'd entertain a motion from the board.
I want to make a quick comment on it, Mr. Vice Chair. I know some people don't like the county reaching out with a noise ordinance. It's a civil violation. If you use Title 13 to go after people, it's a criminal violation. Civil is a lot better, and it's not something that you walk in there and cite them for. It's a tool. It's like any other ordinance. You get people, you show up and you tell them, look, you need to turn it down. If you don't have something to back it up, they're just going to look at you and laugh at you and say, there's nothing you can do to me. You're not going to do anything. That's where this could come in and help alleviate some of the problems. You're going to get that 5% that are going to say, the heck with you, I'm going to do what I want to do. But having this ordinance, it's just a step. Like I said, you do Title 13, it's a criminal violation. And then that puts a criminal record on the violator. Whereas with the ordinance, it's a civil. So it's dealt through the courts. So anyway.
Supervisor Simmons, are you recommending any changes to the proposed ordinance? And Maggie's been walking around in the back, so Maggie, what do you have to say?
I think they've covered a lot of the changes. You know, I know Aaron was there talking to him about what he saw. And then the ones the P&Z Commission recommended.
One of the other challenges, and I'm hopeful that we can mimic something that's similar, that the city does similarly, is because we have so many county islands, and some of those are right in the middle of the city.
Mr. Chairman.
I just wanted to add something real quick.
Sure.
And he's...
Name and address.
Oh, sorry, once again, Ronnie Rubino, 1879 West County 17.5 Street. And I just kind of want to add that I understand kind of what he's saying there. When it comes to the noise and sound, we're speaking in residentially zoned areas, not commercial or industrial. So that would be a common sense thing to have where your homes are, you know. That's all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just brought to attention section number 9 on the enforcement issues. This ordinance shall be enforced as a civil regulations. Enforcement authority is vested in the administration. Do you agree with this section, or do you want to make a change in this?
Darren? Having enforced this previously.
How do you enforce it?
Well, have you had to enforce this previously?
Noise?
Yes.
I've been out on calls where you have to go to them and, you know, but there's nothing you can do, and you don't want to criminally cite them.
Right.
So
the proposed suggestion that he just mentioned, you want to read it again slowly?
More time.
This ordinance shall be enforced as a civil regulation. Enforcement
Wait,
authority.
wait, can you speak more into the microphone?
Enforcement authority is vested in the administration. The administration is defined as means of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors or their authorized representative from Yuma County office or department, including the Yuma County Sheriff.
Yeah.
Good with that?
Yep.
Sure.
So it basically says in here that they're basically only going to get verbal warnings, which is what we have now. That was my point of bringing in the state statute initially. The real issue comes down to what noise are we trying to control and why? And if we can control that with direct contact and verbal warnings until it escalates, we don't need anything else. What we don't need is to live under the restrictions that the city has. If we're looking for city restrictions, people can move to the city. I'm sure Yuma would welcome them. Point is, the criminal statute exists for people who do not comply with verbal warnings. As I live in an ag-waivered property, my neighbors have problems sometimes. When they come down and talk to me, we stop, we change, we do whatever. There are times during the year we cannot do that. Rental equipment, weekends, things like that. We're using things that cost extensive amounts of money. We don't need this to come in and force us to stop. We should be able to comply within a reasonable time. I've never had any issue with any sheriff that responded to our property ever being reasonable about how we should stop. But forcing staff to put more time into this and to put more onus on the sheriff to be able to civilly cite people, I think is overreach, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Aaron.
Well, like I said, 95% of the people will, but listen, hey, you can talk to them and they'll turn it down, but you still have that percentage that are gonna more or less look at you and tell you what you can do with it, because they're gonna do what they wanna do. And I understand that, but it's especially like the foothills. I don't think they had any idea what that was gonna turn into with people one on top of the other, so close together. It's not like you may have an acre or two in between you or whatever. And there's nothing but more coming, especially in the foothills. You see the growth that's going on out there. Houses, I mean, you could sit there and reach out and touch some of them. They're so close together. And I think if we don't have something to control the noise, we're going to end up with just nothing but more and more problems and more people calling and complaining with nothing that we can do to address the issue. Like I said, without writing somebody a criminal ticket. And a lot of times, if it gets to that point, you could sit there and do them a couple of civil violations, and then if you keep getting calls back, okay, then you step it into the criminal realm of it.
Thank you. Supervisor Pancrazi.
I represent 4 county islands, and those people all have the same kind of houses that are in the city. And with this ordinance, it will help in those areas with people who are out of control and exceeding and not paying attention to their neighbors when it comes to loud noises. So I think this is a positive ordinance.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we forward it back to Plan and Zoning Commission for final review, I guess.
And I would encourage everybody to participate in those hearings as well. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Planning and zoning agenda, let's see, regular public hearing items. Staff will make a full presentation on each of the following items, followed by separate discussion, public hearing, and action by the Board of Supervisors. Number 1, Development Services Building Safety Division, text amendment case number 2601, adoption of the 2024 International Fire Code pursuant to Arizona Revised Statutes to adopt the 2024 International Fire Code by ordinance number 2026-02.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Vice Chairman Lyons, Ty Martinez, Chief Building and Fire Code Official, Yuma County. With the direction of the board, I presented the 2024 International Fire Code to the Planning and Zoning Commission. There was no opposition from the public. The commissioners voted unanimously to recommend adoption of the 2024 International Fire Code. And just to kind of go back a little bit in the conversation that I did have with the board, our fire code is over 20 years old. And so it's definitely reached some limitations when it comes to some of the items that we're seeing in the county. One of the biggest things is our solar plants that are out, Datelin, and now we're starting to see those out in the foothills. And what's in there now is these battery storage systems, and what they are, they're giant like storage container buildings in which they have lithium batteries and different forms of storage of these flammable things, and they're hazardous, there's gases and whatnot. So fire code definitely addresses those issues there. There's also an issue now on biomass. There's also regulation now for electric charging stations for bikes, cars, scooters, things of that nature. So fire code, the updated fire code definitely has a lot more things that we're seeing now. On a side note, the State Fire Marshal has adopted the 2024 International Fire Code as of April 13th, 2026. So that's what I have. You guys have any questions for me?
Any questions from the board? I will open it to a public hearing and receive any public comments, if any. Going once, going twice. All right, I'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to, for case number 2601, the adoption of the 2024 International Fire Codes pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 11-861 to adopt the 2024 International Fire Code by ordinance number 2602.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Events, calendar, and current items, starting off with Supervisor Pancrazzi.
Okay. We had a special board meeting. Bye, guys. Thanks. We had a special budget meeting and attended that meeting plus the meeting on with the BRT. Went to the Victims' Rights Gathering. It was very moving and very well attended, so it was nice. Attended a CSA Executive Committee for working on the budget for CSA for next year. I had a Zoom meeting with Elevation Energy, which is the company that's talking about the cobalt plant. I attended the YMPO meeting where we heard about all the cuts to funding for possibly HERF and other budgets, road budgets, and that Yuma County uses and tries to keep our road maintenance and our roads operating without huge potholes. And I attended the CSA Legislative Policy Committee, plus spoke to several constituents.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Simmons?
Attended the budget session, attended a Martinez Lake homeowners meeting out at Martinez Lake. Met with the Evolution Energy out at their site for the new cobalt plant. They've started doing some drilling out there, testing water and such. Talking to them, it's right now they're looking sometime next year to start the actual facility if all their financing comes through, that it looks like it will. And met with just numerous people in my district, a reference to a wide variety of things.
Thank you. Perhaps one of the most important meetings that Chairman Porteous and I had in the last 10 days, 12 days ago, I believe, meeting with Karen Peters from ADEQ. She is the director, and Robin Saeed from the State Land Department to re-emphasize our concerns based upon the letter that we shared from the joint board unitedly. So all of the Board of Supervisors signed a letter. And we discussed the history of the biosolids in Yuma County dating back to the 1980s. And I think it's important to point out that the state holds these contracts, and we've shared our concerns multiple times and shared with them the timeline from this board requesting formal action and even working to pass House Bill 2669, which in its final form, I reminded the new director of ADQ required that the land application containing sewage or septic complies with the sewage sludge program rules of the Clean Water Act as set forth by the EPA. Karen was well aware of that. This final bill was passed by the state in a watered-down version. And we asked them for continued oversight. We also asked that it be enforced regarding the pathogen reduction requirements, and that it did provide biosolids combined with solid waste to be regulated as solid waste. The difference here is that Yuma County's concerns had helped reach the state law level, producing at least some tightening or clarification of Arizona's biosolids framework. Even if Yuma County did not have a direct hand in the permitting control of the county, we have worked with ADEQ to step up enforcements. They were on site to report in that meeting that they had been out to several different sites of biosolids and would be presenting a full report that was based upon a complaint of flies. And we identified other sites primarily as a result of our produce being recycled that were actually the genesis for most of the fly challenges. And that's what they reported to us in that meeting. It is in a holdover. Alexis reported that it is in that phase. We have asked them not to hold it over. State Land Department reported back to us that the state would be required to pay millions of dollars of improvements made to the land to the owners or the operators of this site. We asked them for real-time and real cost estimates, and we will continue to press for that. We have been in contact in that meeting. We were able to report with all of our legislators, asking for them to work at a state level to change the laws. They've reminded us of the interstate commerce challenges, and we will continue to press and be the advocates for the residents of our county in changing state law or the approach to state land, its holdover contracts, and the ability to impact counties without their ability to have any input or control. So this is a result of more than 6 years that this board has been engaged with our constituents, listening to every complaint and pursuing every avenue of remediation and or the wholesale closure of these types of sites within our county. And so I wanted to thank the director of ADEQ for her time and Robin Said from the State Land Department, and reemphasize that, as we have stated for the past 6 years, we do not want Yuma County to be a dumping ground for California biosolids. They understood our concerns. We reiterated that none of the people involved in these discussions were part of the original agreements made back in the 1980s, despite the fact that when I was 10 years old, somebody accused me of being part of that type of agreement, and that I was possibly related to a person who had entered into an agreement with the state back in 1980. But we will continue to push back on behalf of our constituents, as we have done very solidly for the past 6 years with this specific issue. And I've used up a lot of my time in reporting on that, but it's something that the chairman and administration within the county and our board works on almost on a daily basis. But because we're dealing with state law, as we were reminded by ADEQ and State Land Department. We needed to work within the statutes and the framework that are outlined and continue to encourage our elected representatives to the state legislature to work on our behalf. And I just want to say that we will continue to do that. If there's nothing more, we'll go to Ian.
Thank you, Chairman. Of course, participated in those conversations with ADEQ and state lands, the monthly Arizona at Work meeting, also attended the Victim Rights Week gathering, which, as Supervisor Pancrazzi noted, was deeply moving. San Luis Mayor Rydell gave me a tour of the city, which was wonderful and much appreciated. And I attended the University of Arizona Local Leaders Summit, research that shapes the future, and very impressive, all the things U of A does, not only for our community, but for the state. Thank you.
Thank you for attending on behalf of the chairman and myself. And if there's nothing more, we are adjourned.